A bear kept knocking on the ranger station door. When they finally followed, it broke their hearts. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, its last rays casting long shadows across the vast expanse of Yellowstone National Park. The air, crisp and cool, carried the scent of pine needles and damp earth, a symphony of nature's breath that whispered through the ancient forests. Nestled amidst the towering pines and shimmering lakes, a small ranger station stood as a beacon of human presence in the heart of the wilderness. Its windows glowed with a warm light, a comforting contrast to the encroaching darkness, its walls bearing witness to the tireless efforts of those who dedicated their lives to protecting the park's delicate balance and its diverse inhabitants. Inside the station, Jim, a seasoned park ranger with a weathered face and eyes that held the wisdom of countless seasons, sat at his desk. His gaze fixed on the map of the park that adorned the wall, its intricate network of trails and landmarks a testament to the vastness and complexity of the wilderness he had sworn to protect. He had spent a lifetime exploring these lands, his footsteps tracing paths through meadows carpeted with wildflowers, alongside geysers that erupted in a symphony of steam and water, and up mountain slopes that offered breathtaking vistas. He had witnessed the beauty and the brutality of nature, the delicate dance of life and death that played out in the endless cycle of predator and prey, the constant struggle for survival that shaped the lives of the creatures that called this park their home. He had encountered bears, wolves, and elk, their presence a reminder of the wild spirit that thrived within the park's boundaries. He had faced wildfires, floods, and blizzards, his resilience a testament to his deep connection to the land and his unwavering commitment to preserving its delicate balance. He was a guardian of the wilderness, his presence a symbol of human responsibility to protect and preserve the natural world, his actions guided by a deep respect for the creatures that roamed these lands and the ancient rhythms that governed their existence. Beside him, Sarah, a young ranger with a bright smile and an eager spirit, reviewed the day's reports, her fingers flying across the keyboard, her voice a cheerful counterpoint to the quiet hum of the station's generator. She had recently joined the park's ranks, her passion for wildlife and conservation a driving force in her life, her youthful enthusiasm a welcome addition to the seasoned team of rangers. She had spent her days exploring the park's trails, her camera capturing the beauty of its landscapes and the diversity of its inhabitants, her heart filled with a sense of wonder and a deep appreciation for the privilege of working in such a magnificent environment. She looked up to Jim, his experience and wisdom a source of inspiration, his stories of encounters with wild animals and natural phenomena fueling her own desire to learn and contribute to the park's preservation. She saw in him a reflection of the dedication and passion that had drawn her to this profession, his presence a reassuring guide in the sometimes daunting world of wilderness management. And as the night deepened, the shadows lengthening across the vast expanse of Yellowstone, the two rangers settled into their routine, their presence a comforting beacon in the heart of the wilderness, their vigilance a silent guardian against the unpredictable forces of nature and the occasional intrusion of human folly. The silence of the night was shattered by a sound that sent a shiver down Jim's spine. A heavy thud against the front door of the ranger station, followed by a persistent scratching, echoed through the quiet building, its unexpected intrusion a stark contrast to the peaceful rhythm of the wilderness. Jim, his senses honed by years of experience in the wild, immediately recognized the sound as that of an animal, its size and strength evident in the force of its impact against the sturdy wooden door. He exchanged a startled glance with Sarah, their eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "What do you think it is?" Sarah whispered, her voice barely. His years of training kicking in shook his head. "I'm not sure," he replied, his voice a low rumble in the quiet station. "But it's big, and it's persistent." He cautiously approached the door. A large grizzly bear, its massive form silhouetted against the moonlit landscape, stood on its hind legs, its front paws resting against the door, its claws leaving deep scratches on the wood, its growls a guttural symphony of frustration and urgency. Jim, his heart pounding with a mix of awe and apprehension, stepped back from the door, his mind racing with questions. What was a bear doing at the ranger station in the middle of the night? Was it injured? Was it hungry? Was it a threat to their safety? He turned to Sarah, his voice a hushed whisper. "It's a grizzly," he said, his eyes wide with disbelief, "and it seems to want to come inside." Sarah, her own curiosity piqued, cautiously approached the door, her gaze fixed on the imposing figure outside. She had never encountered a grizzly bear at such close proximity before, its sheer size and power both intimidating and mesmerizing. She watched as the bear continued its persistent attempts to open the door, its massive paws leaving deeper scratches on the wood, its growls escalating into a series of frustrated roars that echoed through the quiet station. Jim, his instincts as a park ranger battling with his apprehension, felt a growing sense of responsibility for the creature's well-being. He knew the dangers of wild animals, their unpredictable nature, their potential for aggression. But he also recognized the desperation in the bear's actions, its persistence suggesting a need that transcended its usual instincts. He looked at Sarah, his eyes questioning, his voice a hesitant murmur. "What do we do?" he asked, his words hanging in the air, their decision a delicate balance between caution and compassion. Sarah, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and fascination, met Jim's gaze, her mind racing with the possibilities. She had read countless reports of bear encounters, studied their behavior, and understood the potential dangers of interacting with these powerful creatures. But she also recognized the unusual nature of this situation. The bear's persistence in seeking entry to the ranger station, its actions suggesting a need that transcended its usual instincts. She felt a pull towards the unknown, a desire to understand the creature's motives, a curiosity that battled with her apprehension. "We need to observe it," she said, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. "We need to understand why it's here, what it wants." Jim, his years of experience guiding his caution, nodded in agreement. They moved away from the door, their footsteps silent on the carpeted floor, their eyes fixed on the bear through the window. The bear, its frustration growing, continued its attempts to open the door, its massive paws now shaking the frame, its roars echoing through the night. They watched as the bear paused, its head cocked to one side, its ears twitching, its nostrils testing the wind. It seemed to be listening, its senses attuned to something beyond their perception, its behavior suggesting a heightened awareness of its surroundings. Then, with a suddenness that startled them, it dropped to all fours and turned away from the door, its massive form disappearing into the darkness, its heavy footsteps crunching on the gravel path, its presence fading into the silence of the night. Jim and Sarah exchanged a puzzled glance, their minds filled with questions. What had spooked the bear? Where was it going? What had it wanted? They decided to wait, their curiosity now piqued, their instincts urging them to follow, to observe, to unravel the mystery that had unfolded before them. They watched from the window, their breath misting on the cold glass, their eyes scanning the darkness, their ears straining for any sound that might betray the bear's whereabouts. Minutes turned into an hour, the silence of the night punctuated only by the ticking of the clock on the wall and the distant hoot of an owl. Just as their patience began to wear thin, a flicker of movement caught their attention. The bear, its form a dark silhouette against the moonlit landscape, emerged from the tree line, its movements now purposeful, its gait steady, its presence no longer a threat but a beckoning, a silent invitation to follow. Jim and Sarah, their instincts now overriding their apprehension, grabbed their jackets and flashlights, their movements swift and decisive. They slipped out of the ranger station, the cool night air a bracing contrast to the warmth of the building, their footsteps following the bear's trail, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation. They knew they were embarking on a journey into the unknown, a quest to unravel the mystery that had brought the bear to their doorstep, a pursuit that would lead them deeper into the heart of the wilderness and the secrets it held. The bear, its massive form a dark shadow against the moonlit landscape, led them deeper into the wilderness, its path a winding trail through dense forests and across babbling brooks. Jim and Sarah, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, followed cautiously, their senses alert to the sounds of the night, their hearts pounding with a mix of apprehension and curiosity. The forest, usually a place of tranquility and wonder, now held an eerie silence, the usual symphony of nocturnal creatures muted, replaced by the soft padding of the bear's paws and the rustling of leaves as it moved through the undergrowth. Jim, his years of experience in the wilderness guiding his instincts, felt a growing sense of unease, a primal awareness of the bear's power and unpredictability. He kept his hand close to his sidearm, his fingers tracing the familiar contours of the holster, his mind replaying the countless encounters he had had with wild animals, the lessons learned from years of navigating the delicate balance between respect and caution. Sarah, her youthful enthusiasm tempered by a healthy dose of fear, clung to Jim's side, her flashlight beam dancing nervously across the path ahead, her senses heightened by the adrenaline coursing through her veins. She had read countless reports of bear encounters, studied their behavior, and understood the potential dangers of following a wild animal into the depths of the forest. But she also felt a pull towards the unknown, a desire to understand the bear's motives, a curiosity that battled with her apprehension. She trusted Jim's experience, his knowledge of the wilderness, his ability to assess the situation and ensure their safety. As they followed the bear deeper into the forest, its movements became more deliberate, its pace slowing, his presence less a threat and more a guide. It would occasionally pause, its head turning back towards them, its eyes gleaming in the darkness, as if checking on their progress, ensuring they were still following. Jim, his initial apprehension gradually replaced by a growing sense of curiosity, began to see the bear in a different light. Its persistence in seeking their attention, its deliberate guidance through the wilderness, suggested a purpose beyond mere hunger or aggression. He thought of the stories he had heard from the elders of the local Native American tribes, tales of animals as messengers, guides, and protectors, their spirits intertwined with the very essence of the land. He recalled the legends of bears as powerful totems, their presence carrying a significance that transcended the physical realm. He looked at Sarah, her eyes wide with wonder, her face reflecting the moonlight that filtered through the trees, her presence a reminder of the innocence and compassion that still existed in the world. He felt a responsibility to protect her, to guide her through this unexpected journey, to ensure their safe return. But he also felt a growing sense of trust in the bear, a belief that its intentions were not malicious, that its purpose was somehow connected to the well-being of the wilderness and its inhabitants. He decided to follow its lead, to surrender to the unknown, to embrace the mystery that unfolded before them. And as they continued their journey, their footsteps tracing a path through the moonlit forest, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and anticipation, they knew that they were not just following a bear, but embarking on a quest, a journey of discovery that would challenge their perceptions, test their courage, and ultimately lead them to a truth that lay hidden in the heart of the wilderness. The bear led them through the dense undergrowth, its massive form parting the branches with ease, its path a winding trail through the moonlit forest. Jim and Sarah, their flashlights cutting through the darkness, followed closely, their senses alert to the sounds of the night, their hearts pounding with a mix of apprehension and anticipation. The forest, usually a symphony of nocturnal sounds, now held an eerie silence, the usual chorus of crickets and owls replaced by the soft padding of the bear's paws and the rustling of leaves as it moved through the undergrowth. The air was thick with the scent of pine needles and damp earth, a primal aroma that spoke of the ancient secrets hidden within the heart of the wilderness. As they journeyed deeper into the forest, the terrain grew steeper, the path more treacherous, their footsteps echoing against the rocky slopes. The bear, its movements unhindered by the challenging terrain, continued its steady pace, its presence a beacon in the darkness, its purpose a mystery that drew them onward. They reached a clearing, its moonlit expanse a stark contrast to the dense forest that surrounded it. And there, in the center of the clearing, lay a sight that made their hearts clench with a mix of horror and pity. A small bear cub, its fur matted and bloodied, lay whimpering on the ground, its tiny body trembling with pain and fear. Its leg, twisted at an unnatural angle, was caught in a cruel trap, its metal jaws clamped tightly around its delicate limb, a testament to the heartless act of a poacher. The mother bear, her maternal instincts overriding her fear, had led them to her injured cub, her desperate cries for help now a silent plea for their intervention. Jim and Sarah, their hearts filled with compassion, rushed towards the cub, their flashlights illuminating its suffering, their presence a beacon of hope in the face of its pain. Jim, his hunter's instinct momentarily forgotten, knelt beside the cub, his rough hands gently examining its injuries, his voice a soft murmur of comfort. Sarah, her medical training kicking in, reached into her backpack for her first aid kit, their voices soothing as they freed the cub's injured leg. They cleaned and bandaged the wound, their expertise a blend of human knowledge and an instinctive understanding of the creature's vulnerability. They wrapped the cub in a warm blanket, its soft fur a comforting contrast to the cold metal of the trap, its whimpers gradually subsiding as it felt the warmth and security of their care. The mother bear, her eyes filled with a mix of gratitude and anxiety, watched their every move, her presence a silent guardian, her trust in these humans a testament to the desperation she felt and the hope they represented. And as they worked, the first rays of dawn painted the horizon, casting a golden glow on the clearing, their efforts illuminated by the promise of a new day, a chance for healing, a testament to the enduring power of compassion and the resilience of life in the face of adversity. The arrival of dawn brought with it a renewed sense of urgency. The rangers, their faces etched with a mix of determination and sadness, knew they had to get the injured cub to the ranger station for proper medical care. They carefully lifted the little bear, its whimpers echoing through the clearing, its fragile body a testament to the cruelty it had endured. The mother bear, her maternal instincts heightened, watched their every move, her eyes filled with a mix of trust and anxiety. Jim, sensing her concern, spoke to her in a low, soothing voice, his words carrying a reassurance that transcended the boundaries of language. "We're going to take care of him, Mama Bear," he said, his hand gently stroking her fur. "We'll do everything we can to help him." The bear, her understanding evident in her soft growl, nudged her cub with her nose, a gesture of farewell and a plea for his safe return. The rangers, their hearts heavy with the weight of the situation, carried the cub towards the trail, their footsteps a solemn rhythm against the backdrop of the awakening forest. They reached the ranger station, its familiar structure a welcome sight after the harrowing journey through the wilderness. Dr. Emily Carter, the station's veterinarian, rushed to meet them, her face etched with concern as she assessed the cub's injuries. The examination room, filled with the sterile scent of antiseptic and the hum of medical equipment, became a battleground for the cub's life. Dr. Carter, her movements swift and precise, worked tirelessly, her expertise a beacon of hope in the face of the cub's fragile state. She cleaned and bandaged the wound, her gentle touch a stark contrast to the cruelty that had been inflicted upon the innocent creature. She administered pain medication and antibiotics, her knowledge a weapon against the infection that threatened to consume the cub's small body. She monitored his vital signs, her brow furrowed with concern as she noted his shallow breathing and rapid heartbeat, his temperature a chilling reminder of the hypothermia that had set in during the long night in the wilderness. Jim and Sarah, their faces etched with worry, watched as Dr. Carter worked, their presence a silent vigil, their hopes pinned on her ability to save the cub's life. They had witnessed the mother bear's desperation, her heartbreaking cries for help, her unwavering love for her injured offspring. They couldn't bear the thought of failing her, of returning to the clearing with news of the cub's demise, of witnessing the mother's grief and despair. They prayed for a miracle, their silent pleas echoing through the quiet station, their hopes intertwined with the fate of the small creature that lay fighting for its life on the examination table. But despite their efforts, Despite Dr. Carter's expertise, the cub's condition continued to deteriorate. His breathing grew shallower, his heartbeat weaker, his temperature dropping with an alarming rapidity. The infection, a relentless enemy, ravaged his small body, his strength fading with each passing hour. Dr. Carter, her face pale with exhaustion and a growing sense of helplessness, emerged from the examination room, her voice heavy with the weight of the news she carried. "I'm sorry," she said, her eyes filled with sadness. "But I don't think he's going to make it." Jim and Sarah, their hearts sinking with her words, felt a wave of despair wash over them. They had failed the mother bear, their efforts to save her cub in vain, their hopes dashed against the cruel reality of the situation. They thought of the mother bear, her anguish and despair at the loss of her cub, a heart-wrenching image in their minds. They knew they had to return to the clearing, to face her, to deliver the devastating news, to witness the grief that would surely consume her. And as they prepared for the journey back into the wilderness, their hearts heavy with sorrow, their spirits burdened by the weight of their failure, they vowed to honor the cub's memory, to seek justice for the cruelty that had been inflicted upon him, to dedicate themselves to protecting the creatures of the wild from the darkness that lurked within the human heart. The journey back to the clearing was a somber one, the silence of the forest amplifying the grief that weighed heavily on Jim and Sarah's hearts. They carried the cub's lifeless body, wrapped in a soft blanket, its small form a heartbreaking reminder of the life that had been extinguished, the innocence that had been stolen. They reached the clearing, the mother bear's anxious cries greeting them from the distance, her voice a mixture of hope and fear, her maternal instincts yearning for the return of her cub. They approached slowly, their footsteps heavy on the soft earth, their heads bowed in sorrow, their presence a harbinger of the devastating news they carried. The mother bear, her eyes filled with a desperate hope, rushed towards them, her movements a blur of desperation and anticipation. But as she saw the lifeless form of her cub in their arms, her cries turned into a heart-wrenching wail, her grief echoing through the forest, a mournful lament that shattered the tranquility of the wilderness. She collapsed beside her cub, her massive body trembling with sorrow, her paws gently caressing its lifeless form, her tears mingling with the blood that stained its fur. Jim and Sarah, their own hearts breaking at the sight of her anguish, knelt beside her, their presence a silent offering of comfort and support. They watched as she mourned, her cries a testament to the depth of her maternal love, her grief a raw expression of the pain that transcended the boundaries of language and species. They felt her sorrow resonate within them, their own experiences with loss and heartbreak mirroring her anguish. They spoke to her in soft, soothing tones, their words carrying a message of empathy and understanding, their touch a gentle reassurance in the face of her overwhelming grief. They told her of their efforts to save her cub, their voices trembling with emotion, their regret palpable in the silence that followed their words. They explained the cruelty that had been inflicted upon her cub, the poacher's trap, the senseless act of violence that had led to this heartbreaking outcome. They spoke of their determination to bring the perpetrators to justice, their voices filled with a righteous anger, their words a promise to protect the remaining creatures of the wild from such senseless cruelty. The mother bear, her grief slowly subsiding into a quiet despair, listened to their words, her eyes reflecting their sincerity, her understanding transcending the boundaries of language. She nuzzled their hands, her gesture a silent thank you for their compassion and their efforts, her trust in them a testament to the enduring power of connection in the face of adversity. And as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the clearing, they sat together in a shared silence, their presence a comfort to the grieving mother, their hearts filled with a mix of sorrow and a renewed determination to honor the cub's memory by protecting the wilderness and its inhabitants from the darkness that lurked within the human heart. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, its fading light casting long shadows across the clearing. The mother bear, her grief a heavy weight on her heart, lay curled beside the lifeless form of her cub, her warmth a final embrace, her presence a silent vigil. Jim and Sarah, their own hearts heavy with sorrow, watched over her, their presence a comforting reassurance in the face of her loss. They had witnessed the raw power of her maternal love, the depth of her despair, the vulnerability that lay beneath her fierce exterior. They had come to understand that the wilderness was not just a place of beauty and wonder, but also a realm of harsh realities, where life and death danced a delicate balance, where the survival of the fittest was a constant struggle, where the actions of humans could have a devastating impact on the delicate ecosystem. They felt a renewed sense of responsibility, a commitment to protect the creatures that called these mountains home, to be a voice for the voiceless, to stand against the cruelty and indifference that threatened the natural world. They spoke in hushed tones, their words carrying a mix of sadness and determination. They vowed to find the poachers, to bring them to justice, to ensure that their actions would not go unpunished. They pledged to dedicate themselves to the preservation of the wilderness, to educate others about the importance of respecting the delicate balance of nature, to inspire a new generation of stewards of the earth. The mother bear, her ears twitching, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames of their campfire, seemed to sense their resolve, her soft growls a testament to her understanding. She nuzzled their hands, her gesture a silent thank you for their compassion and their promise to protect her remaining cubs, her trust in them a beacon of hope in the face of her loss. And as the stars emerged, their twinkling lights a reminder of the vastness of the universe and the interconnectedness of all living things, they sat together in a shared silence, their presence a comfort to the grieving mother, their hearts filled with a mix of sorrow and a renewed determination to honor the cub's memory by protecting the wilderness and its inhabitants from the darkness that lurked within the human heart. The following morning, Jim and Sarah returned to the ranger station, their hearts heavy with the weight of the previous day's events. They reported the poaching incident to their superiors, their voices filled with a mix of sadness and anger, their words painting a vivid picture of the injured cub, the mother bear's grief, and their own determination to bring the perpetrators to justice. The news of the poaching incident spread quickly through the park, its impact rippling through the close-knit community of rangers and staff. A sense of collective outrage and a shared desire for justice fueled their efforts to apprehend the poachers and protect the park's vulnerable inhabitants. A team of experienced rangers, their tracking skills honed by years of experience in the wilderness, set out to follow the poachers' trail, their determination unwavering, their pursuit relentless. They scoured the forests, their eyes scanning the ground for footprints, their noses twitching for any lingering scent, their ears attuned to the slightest sound that might betray the poacher's presence. They followed the trail for days, their pursuit leading them deeper into the wilderness, their resolve strengthened by the knowledge that they were not just tracking criminals, but also seeking justice for the innocent creatures that had been harmed. And then, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the rugged terrain, they found them. The poachers, their faces etched with a mix of arrogance and fear, were apprehended, their weapons confiscated, their reign of terror brought to an end. The news of their capture brought a wave of relief and satisfaction to the ranger station. A sense of justice served, a victory for the wilderness and its inhabitants. Jim and Sarah, their hearts lighter, felt a sense of closure. Their grief for the lost cub, tempered by the knowledge that those responsible for its suffering would be held accountable for their actions. They returned to the clearing where they had left the mother bear, their footsteps now carrying a sense of peace and renewed hope. They found her curled up beside the spot where her cub had been laid to rest, her body still bearing the scars of her ordeal, but her eyes reflecting a quiet acceptance. They sat beside her, their presence a silent comfort, their voices soft murmurs of reassurance. They spoke of the poacher's capture, their words carrying a message of justice and closure. They spoke of the sanctuary that had been created in the cub's memory, a place where other orphaned and injured bears could find refuge and healing. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of healing and renewal, they felt a connection to the mother bear, a shared understanding of loss and resilience, a bond that transcended the boundaries of species. They left her with a final farewell, their footsteps fading into the silence of the forest, their hearts filled with a newfound respect for the enduring power of nature and the unwavering spirit of those who dedicated their lives to protecting its delicate balance. The passing seasons painted the landscape of Yellowstone with the vibrant hues of life and renewal. Spring brought forth a tapestry of wildflowers, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to the muted tones of winter. Summer's warmth bathed the meadows and forests, nurturing the growth of new life, the air filled with the songs of birds and the buzzing of insects. Autumn's touch transformed the leaves into a fiery mosaic of gold and crimson, their descent to the earth a gentle reminder of the cycle of life and death. And winter, with its pristine blanket of snow, brought a hush to the land, a time of dormancy and reflection, a preparation for the reawakening of spring. The ranger station, a steadfast presence amidst the ever-changing landscape, continued its vital role, its windows glowing with a welcoming warmth, its walls echoing with the stories of those who dedicated their lives to protecting the park and its inhabitants. Jim, his hair now streaked with silver, his weathered face etched with the wisdom of countless seasons, remained a pillar of the ranger community, his experience and knowledge a guiding light for the younger generation. He shared his stories of the wilderness, his encounters with its creatures, his lessons learned from the delicate balance of nature. He spoke of the mother bear and her cubs, their story a poignant reminder of the impact humans could have on the wild, their resilience a testament to the enduring power of the natural world. He emphasized the importance of respect, of understanding the interconnectedness of all living things, of protecting the vulnerable and preserving the delicate balance that sustained them all. Sarah, her youthful enthusiasm now tempered with experience and a deeper understanding of the wilderness, had blossomed into a skilled and compassionate ranger. She had learned from Jim, her mentor and friend, her own connection to the park deepening with each passing season, her dedication to its preservation unwavering. She continued to explore the park's hidden corners, her camera capturing the beauty and diversity of its inhabitants, her research contributing to the understanding and protection of its fragile ecosystem. She shared her knowledge with visitors, her passion for conservation inspiring a new generation of stewards of the earth. And together, Jim and Sarah, their paths intertwined by the shared experience of the bear rescue, continued to watch over Yellowstone, their presence a reassuring constant in the face of the ever-present challenges, their dedication a testament to the enduring spirit of those who answered the call of the wild. The story of the bear that knocked on the ranger station door, a tale of desperation and compassion, of loss and resilience, became a part of Yellowstone's lore, its echoes carried on the whispers of the wind, its lessons etched in the hearts of those who heard it. It was a story that spoke of the interconnectedness of all living things, the responsibility humans carried to protect the vulnerable, the power of empathy to bridge the gap between species. It was a story that celebrated the enduring spirit of the wild, the unwavering love of a mother for her cub, and the compassion of those who dared to answer the call for help, the rangers who had come to their aid, and the community that had rallied to protect them, lived on. Their story a reminder of the delicate balance that held the natural world together, a testament to the enduring power of compassion and the unwavering spirit of those who dedicated their lives to preserving the wild beauty of Yellowstone National Park.